on blast.
It's a surprise special episode of You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge. I'm John Chidley Hill.
And I am Sheldon Alexander. Maybe I'll speak into the mic because, that's a thing that, that's why the microphone is here, to speak into said microphone. But hey, why not?
I'm not the boss of you. Live your life. We have a very special guest. Again, as a surprise, we got Ashley Mitchell, the legend herself.
Hey.
The second on the all-time money winners list for the challenge. We were fortunate that a fan sort of got in her mentions and mentioned Sheldon and myself. Said, hey, you should get on the show. So we made it happen. She called in from her vacation in Mexico. She was in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
And was about to go out.
She's super awesome. And one thing I got to say, though, huge shouts to the You Killed It fans. Doing what you do, the power of the internet, power of the You Killed It fans. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us, of course. And just know that your army is strong and we listen and the people on the challenge listen. So hit them up, hit us up. We're here. We see you. That's the beauty of this pod and the beauty of the internet. We say it all the time. This isn't our show. This is your show. You guys wanted the interview with Ashley. We got an interview with Ashley. Thanks to you guys. And we appreciate that. We are here doing this still when there's no season going on right now for you guys. And I guess maybe we should mention, there are rumors floating around about a new challenge season and when they finish and all that stuff. Just know that obviously we're not in a position where we're going to ask her about that because she can't talk about it anyways. So there's really no point in doing that. So in case people are wondering, be serious for a second. Be smart. That's all.
Yeah. We're looking in the interview. There's more looking back than looking forward.
For sure.
Anyway, you will hear that interview right after the bumper music, which starts right now.
Hold in for dramatic effect.
So Ashley, we have a rule on this podcast that we don't normally talk about the COVID-19 pandemic because we want people to have a bit of an escape from real life when they listen to us. With that said, I'm going to immediately break that rule because you had such a crazy experience in March and April when things were popping off with the pandemic. So could you tell us what exactly happened for you in March and April?
Oh my goodness. My whole life it's not even I feel like it's not even real nowadays. But I was backpacking through South America with my sister. We were in the Amazon jungle. We didn't have Wi-Fi or anything for a few days. And then we found out that this COVID thing, we all thought that would just go away. We kind of all thought that when we first started hearing about it. We found out that everyone was going in lockdown and this shit was serious. So we had to get a police escort back to Quito, Ecuador, because we were literally in the Amazon jungle. Because also you weren't allowed to travel from state to state. Mm-hmm. So get a police escort back to the city, and then I was stuck there for a few months. I mean, not stuck there, but kind of stuck there.
Given all that you've traveled around the world now, thanks to the challenge, how does that experience rank in terms of crazy experiences getting stuck in an airport or anything like that?
Well, I travel a lot just without the challenge as well. Let's let that be known. But
oh, I see you on the gram. I
do. I feel like traveling has changed me so much. And I mean, I'm just a little girl from the country, never thought I would even get to leave, the South. So it's just a dream come true to travel. I mean, it really wasn't that crazy. I knew the whole world was locked down. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of a homebody anyways. So I got a house and me and my sister quarantined for 2 months. We drank too much red wine. We weren't even allowed to leave the house after 2 p.m. at all. Not to go on a walk, not to go to the grocery, nothing. And when you did go to the grocery, you'd have to wear your mask, obviously, gloves. You had to get sprayed with this antibacterial. So in Ecuador, they were taking it much more serious than we have been in America. Well, I'm not in America right now, but
I got you. Ashley, I got to say something, right? Like, first off, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I just want to say, we here on the You Killed It podcast, right? When we have guests on, we're only having people that we like, right? I'm very much for, like, I'm having people that we rep. And you are one of the people that I rep so much on the show because you go on the show and have fun. Obviously, the resume speaks for itself. We see the wins. We know you got the M's with the victories, right? You got the millies. But why is it so important for you to also go on the show and have fun? We refer to it as a 5-tool player. You bring a little bit of everything to the show, right? Trying to win, some strategy, having fun in the house, maybe even, a little cuddle time, let's say, right? But why is it so important to you? Why is that something that, you continue to do time and time again when you're on the show? And not afraid to get in a fight or an argument or tell someone about themselves.
Well, I think I tweeted this recently that some people come off as the good girl or the perfect, character because they are doing that. They're really good actors and they can act for months. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, I'll just never do that in life, at a party, a fancy party, a party, and maybe a bad part of town. I'm the same person. And then on TV, I'm going to be the same person. And if you don't like me, then that's okay. I mean, not everyone's going to like you. If everyone likes you, then you must not be real. So my thing in life is to always just do your best, try to be kind to everyone, and have fun. You only live once. This is your one life that you have. And if you're not having fun, what the hell are you even doing? So, and also the same thing with speaking your mind. Like, if someone is putting you down or you don't feel like something's right, you have to stand up. And I mean, that is very relevant right now in today's society and in today's America is, silence is just as bad as the people that are in the wrong. So if you don't stand up, if you don't say something, then no one else is going to, and you have to be the person that leads the way. That's just the way I live my life.
As Sheldon said, we really respect and appreciate that you can do it all on the challenge. Your social game's great, your political game, you're great at puzzles, you're great at the physical competitions. But I was curious, what for you would you say is your best asset on the show?
Oh, definitely puzzles. There's a few things that maybe you will see soon that will show that I really am. I am. But also that can be my downfall, because being sometimes with your brain working as much as it does as mine in the house, that can lead to like paranoia or worry too much and thinking too much. And sometimes I can't sleep in the house. Like, I sleep a few hours a night because my mind's always thinking and going and trying to politic and do too much. So, I mean, I'm great at the puzzles, but I wish sometimes my brain would just shut up.
So you kind of touched on something there that I think, you've done a lot of things on the challenge, and we'll get to the point of, talking about a Mount Rushmore of the best competitors on the challenge. But you kind of touched on something there, and it's something that I feel like you brought to the show, which is the term politicking, if I'm not mistaken. Was that a thing? And just kind of explain to people who might not, well, first off, if you haven't been catching up on prior seasons of the challenge during this pandemic, then what else have you been doing with your time? But for people who might be unaware.
I saw a tweet from Wes. Someone had retweeted it. I think I was on your guys' Twitter just being a stalker. And that this is the best competition show. And I really think so, because it's just like competing. So it's the politicking, but there's so much more social than, let's say, Big Brother and other live shows can be, because there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors and maybe under the covers that people don't see. So politicking is just like, some girls have to do what they have to do. I mean, I kind of had that reputation, let's say, on season 29. And 28, because I'm 28, I hooked up with Cara's cousin who had just won. But no one believed me. I swear I never saw the show before. I didn't really know who the heck that kid was. Now I haven't hooked up with anyone in a long time, so maybe you guys could help me on your next podcast if you find
I'm sure you do not need our help. I'm sure your DMs are flooded with requests, I'll say. But here's the thing, Ash. Is that a conscious decision lately on the challenge to kind of, because I feel like the people who have been on for a long time, right? Lately, we've kind of noticed a trend where there's a lot more sit back. There's a lot more kind of letting things play out, seeing how things go, as opposed to maybe your first few times on the show where we're seeing the party night one. We're seeing the hooking up, the fighting, the arguing, more of that stuff. Are you in a position where you're kind of letting the newbies kind of get in that lane and you kind of sit back and jump in when you need to?
Me personally. Okay, so this is the thing, honestly. I know a lot of people don't believe it, but like I was just saying, babe, a minute ago, I just am who I am. I never go out of my way. I feel like sometimes your subconscious is like when you're feeling insecure or lonely, you're going to want to connect with somebody, you know, especially a guy if you're a girl and vice versa. But nowadays, I'm just kind of like, I've been here, I've done this. I know who most of these guys are, and I don't want nothing to like I've heard the rumors about what they're working with, and I'm okay.
Hey.
But, yeah, so I think some people, if we're talking about the bigger spectrum, not just like me, but like other cast members, I feel like some people, well, actually, I know some people, they're going out there starting fights to get recasted or trying to hook up to get recasted. It happened to me on War of the Worlds 1 with the guy that got injured. He was like, oh, maybe we could have a showmance because he knew he was going to go home the next day. And I was like, no, I don't do that for TV. You got me twisted for someone that needs screen time, honey. I don't need screen time. The screen comes to me. I don't have to come to it.
Hey.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because one time Wes told me off the record, like we weren't recording, he told me that he has purposely avoided speaking ill of one cast member in particular because he doesn't want to end up doing like a rivals season with them. He's like, I don't want to work with that person under any circumstances. So he's like, I'm always nice on camera. I'm not gonna blow up his spot, but like, you're not alone in that thinking of trying to avoid, you know, being partnered with someone on a Battle of the X's or a rival season or whatever.
Yo, I thought you were going to just say Wes was talking about her. That's
no.
You were going with that. I was like, whoa.
I will tell you, Ash, it was not you. Wes was not speaking about you.
I know who it was.
Well, I mean, you want to put it out there. That's on you, but I'm going to keep my lips sealed.
There was a girl that recently got canceled, and on War of the Worlds 3, what was that? Total Madness or whatever. Yeah. And she was like, we had fought during the season. We had made up. And then when it aired, she's like, oh, let's play it up on Twitter. Let's like fight. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not fake. I'm not going to thing for TV. Not on Twitter. Not when I'm filming. Not in your fucking dreams. Never. Don't come at me with the fake stuff. The only thing fake about me, babe, is these boobs. And that's the only thing about me, I promise. I can't do it. I just don't for it.
The thing is, though, if you had played up that rivalry, everyone would have been on your side. It would have been 100% of the internet by the end of that season on Team Ashley.
I know, but, you know, it wouldn't have been true. And I just want to put my head on the pillow at the end of the night and know I'm me, and I don't have to wake up in the morning and do a character and pretend to be someone else. Or I'm not an actress. I'm a reality TV star. You want reality TV? You want people that are real. So that's just who I am. I didn't sign up to be an actress. I didn't sign up to be fake. I signed up to be me, and that's all I can be. And that's why I'm not perfect. That's why people get mad at me sometimes. That's why I fuck up, because we all fuck up.
So a question though, a recent trend has been people making alliances before they even get into the house. That might be kind of forcing relationships that definitely don't work once you get in said house. But for you, what do you make of that strategy in terms of coming into the house and who you're going to work with? I know you have your crew that you've had success with before.
I feel like each season my crew is like gone from the season before. From losing the Lavender Ladies to losing Cara's Cult, if you will. I just realized, and then recently, I've realized I'm probably going to be pretty alone and not trust many people. Mm-hmm. And also, like you were saying, with people making alliances before, I don't do that, but it makes me very, very freaking nervous. Like when I go into the house, I'm like, oh my God, who's been talking to who's been kissing whose butt, who's been licking whose toes, you know? No, so it makes me very nervous because I don't play those games. Yeah. And maybe be more like Wes and just, kiss everyone's butt before I walk into the house. But like I said, I only got time for it. I don't give a fuck enough because I again, and not every season's going to be your season. But I'm going to get my third win. I'm going to have the most money again. I know it. Hey. So it will come whenever it's says to.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, like, obviously Johnny and Wes have this long rivalry that seems like it's over, but who knows? And like, it wasn't just
target. How the did I feel like I'm still the new girl. I've done like 6-7 seasons. They've done 20, and I feel like how the heck did just like this little country girl become you guys big badasses, like #1 target? What the heck have I done?
Well, you've won a lot. That's what you've done. And that's what I wanted to ask you about is it's not just that Johnny and Wes have butted heads because they have very different personalities, but their strategies going into the show, they're basically complete opposites. Like Johnny always comes in with his crew and like he's loyal with them as long as can be. And Wes is always alliance building, but you're just as successful or more successful than both of them. How do you, like, what's your approach when you go into the house? Do you just sort of go in and assess things? Like, what's sort of your thought process in terms of strategy?
That's a hard question because
I don't want you to give away the secrets.
I'm like, let me think about this. Now, I thought I knew my strategy, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have to take a step back and think a little bit harder. I've kind of got complacent with, okay, I can build friends and I can work on that. But I feel like I've been slapped in the face with, okay, don't trust these people. They're trying to win $1 million too. You're not going to get another Amanda. You're not going to get another Cara. You're not going to get best friends that will do. This is, okay, hold on. Let me just tell you, this is the way I work with my alliances. Whenever I'm making a decision, I think what's best for my freaking alliance, because as long as they're safe, I'm going to be safe and vice versa. And I know not everyone else has that mentality because they do what's best for them in that exact moment. And that's always going to screw you up because if you have a close alliance that you ride with to the end, look at the Lavender Ladies, like most of us made it to almost the final every time we've worked together, like into the top 5, I think. Cars Cult, almost every single one of us in the alliance made it to the final. So I just feel like, I don't know. I don't really know my strategy anymore. I've been trying to work with that, trying to be good and loyal to people, and that hasn't really been doing good for me anymore. So I'm going to have to switch things up and maybe just be an evil witch.
Well, you and Bananas on the last season we saw kind of went toe-to-toe, let's say, where he was trying to call you out, you were trying to call him out. But basically, I looked at it as, from the viewer, me just being on my couch, from my angle, it looked like one of you guys are just trying to get the other before the other one did. Simple.
I mean, he said that, and I said it too on the reunion. I mean, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. He knew I was probably the only one that could rally people to get him out, and I knew he could rally people to get me out. So, I mean, honestly, I have much love for the guy. Like, I respect his gameplay. He's a 7-time winner. I mean, it's like not like in Michael Jordan if you play in the NBA. I mean, he's just a player, no matter if sometimes he did it the dirty way, and I respect him for that. But yeah, he makes me mad, but kind of like a big brother sometimes. I'm like, I want to punch you.
So is he someone you would work with, though? Yeah, right? Sounds like it, maybe.
I feel like, babe, I feel like I'm going to have to in the future because everyone's going to be out to get me and him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the truth nowadays. I feel like as strong players, and honestly, I don't even look at myself as a strong player. I'm just starting to hear the way people talk about me behind closed doors. Like during the season, I overhear people speaking of me and like, oh, we have to get her out and this and that. And I'm like, me? Like, why? What did I do? You know? And they're like, oh, you're a strong player. I'm like, where? They're like, in your out, honey.
Well, that's the thing is, like, fans of the show and longtime viewers, Sheldon and I always talk about that, like, any competition that Ashley's in, you can win, right? Like, you're very good, from our perspective, at finding whatever, like, the key part of a competition is and focusing on that. Do you feel that way, like, that you have that confidence going into an elimination, for example?
For sure. Eliminations are one thing that I have to really start meditating on because, like you said, I use my brain to beat people, not always the physical. But once I start doubting myself, once I start thinking I can't win, I can be my own worst enemy. I can lose to the worst competitors just because I'm my own worst enemy, pretty much. You know, once I get in my head, it's over. Like a freaking toddler could beat me but if I'm confident and I'm focused, I'm laser focused, no one could beat me, and I believe that. And I think that's with anybody in this life. If you just have good confidence and, you hone in on your skills, then you'll be great. And when you beat yourself up, you're going to lose. I'm the prime example. Either make it to the final or go home first. That's like what I do.
If you're not first, you're last. Is that the Ricky Bobby? Is that what it is?
Oh my God. I love that movie. And also, I mean, wouldn't you freaking hate to be like me and Cam and Leroy on War of the Worlds 2 and make it all the way to the final, absolutely kill, do the most work, and then not even make $1? No, what? Like, can't we get like a $10,000 bonus or something? Like, we don't even get bonuses or nothing. Just like, sorry, you almost died. Good luck getting home.
I need to know honestly what happened to Polly. Like, I know how it played out and how we saw it on TV, but I want to hear from you actually seeing it. And as you just described it, you guys were doing the heavy lifting and my guy was just done. Like, how much of that was editing? How much of that was like, no, my guy was
carrying a lot. Him and Leroy were doing the freaking most. Zach carried one time. And I'm talking like Ninja carried like 0.
Yeah.
So people like Zach and Polly, they literally have 0 freaking percent body fat. And that season we didn't get any electrolytes, no food. We had like one backpack of one camelback of water for everybody. Like, it was really tough. So, if you have in these situations, your body actually needs a little fat to eat and fuel itself. And when you're muscle and pure, just muscle, I guess, your body has nothing to feed off of. So I think that's what happened. He just kind of went into shock. Like, he was so dehydrated. Once he got the IV, he was better. And that sucked because he did shit. Well, no, he did a lot. Zach did shit. But, he did a lot and still didn't, but still had to get the IV. I was like, well, if I had an IV, and then, like, no offense, I love Ninja, but she didn't too much, and she slept the most. If I could have been that position, like if I would have been on the other team, maybe I would have been better at the puzzle. because I don't know if you guys know, but your body gets absolutely, when your body is absolutely exhausted, your brain doesn't work as well either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, but I don't regret anything. So
On that note, I'm curious. I mean, you've been in front of reality TV cameras for 6 years now, more than 6 years. What's your biggest regret, either from the challenge or the real world? Is there anything that you regret?
oh gosh, I mean, I regret a lot of the fights I got in, what I say to people. I mean, one time I threw a glass at Nicole Ramos's head. Alcohol and anger and a camera in my face is not good.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it. Most of the people I've gotten fights with, I'm good friends with. Corey, well, I actually wasn't even fighting with Corey. He just inserted himself in that conversation. He was actually my only friend on that show, him and Jenny. But like Nicole, me and her, dope, me and Maddie, I just like lived through a hurricane the other day. Maddie was like the first person to call me the other morning. So, I mean, it's just a very intense show with a lot of emotions. And that actually, I just tweeted this was, stop like trying to like bring people down, call them horrible names because your favorite got into a fight with them. Because likely they're going to make up and then you're going to look like a real butthead because now they're best friends again and you just like try to slander their name.
It's like we get so mad as a viewer, more mad than the actual people involved.
Exactly. Some people, and I see them like, I don't want to say names right now, but like today I saw a lot of stuff. I'm like, y'all just calm down. Like, I'm sure they're going to kiss and make up in a couple weeks. Like, no reason.
I saw that tweet of yours, and that's sort of what led to the question I asked, because I think you made a very like valid point that obviously everyone on the show is a real person and real people make mistakes. But like, because you guys have like live under a microscope, those mistakes are blown up. Right? Like it makes it a lot harder.
We're also competing in a game for $1 million freaking dollars. So people's brains are just doing what they think in that moment is best for them. And it might not be what's best for them, but you're looking at it from the outside. You know what I mean? So people make mistakes, even in our real life with our friends at a party and cliques and in high school and all this stuff. So can you imagine competing for $1 million? You're going to get paranoid. You're going to think, I can't beat her, so I'm going to have to get her out. Or if I don't do what these people say, I'm going to get voted out. So everyone is only doing what's best for them. And there's no freaking way that anyone can be mad at that. Because if you're not best for you, no one else is, honey. So you're real dumb. Like you have to.
I feel like there's a very clean segue into speaking of doing what's best for you. One of the biggest moments in your challenge career, you know exactly where I'm going.
What happened? Tell me about it.
Well, there was a season called Final Reckoning, and I believe yourself and your partner, what was his name again? Hunter? Was that it? Does that sound familiar? Are you familiar with that person? Well, obviously people have to know, if you're watching this pod, the resume. You guys got to the final and you earn the right, which I think is a part people leave out of the discussion. You earn the right to have the decision of whether you keep all the money or if you split the $1 million with your partner, and you chose to keep the $1 million. Now, I know you've probably talked about this ad nauseum. You're probably tired of it. But for our You Killed It viewers who are so happy to have you on the pod, can you please tell them, just walk them through your decision-making process, just because it was a major moment. And I agree with you in the sense that, hey, doing what's best for you in that moment, why not?
Anyone that says that they wouldn't do what's best for them is lying, okay? Anyone, and then I get the question a lot, if it was your friend, would you split it? That would have been really hard. Like if I was partners with Amanda, I can say probably, but would I have had to fucking probably cry and think and like, oh my God, yes. Because it's $1 million, and honey, we get taxed. We live in America. I hate to tell you how much taxes are once you make that much in 1 year, especially with lottery tax. Yep. It's a lot. And 500,000 and $1 million are two different worlds. So my thought process was weeks and weeks before the final. You can ask Marie, you can ask Sylvia. I would told everyone, like, if I get the chance to do what Johnny Bananas did, and I know America will probably hate me, I'm doing it. Listen, I had family members going through things that I got to help them get through by paying for it with that money. I mean, I probably spent 50 grand easy just to help family. You know what I mean? So I did what I needed to do for me and mine. And if you don't think he wouldn't have done the same thing, you're delusional. And if you think that even if I did split it, if you thought we were going to be best friends, be together, he'd check on me when, like, my uncle just died, anything like this, when my dad died. No, he wasn't there. He didn't do that. I remember when my dad died, he didn't text me, you know, so we weren't close. We weren't friends. He was someone I was partners with, and he was someone that I slept under the covers with 3 times. Like, you ain't nothing to me, you know? It was not, like Cara said, me and Cara are friends now, but I always laugh when I rewatch the clip because she's like, this bitch doesn't even wait 3 seconds. And I'm like, you're right, honey. I didn't. I already knew what I was going to say.
Well, we interviewed Marie after that finale, and she said exactly what you just said, that she knew weeks in advance that if you had that opportunity that you would do it. And, like, in all honesty, I mean, Sheldon and I both agreed with your decision, because it's not just that you're looking out for you and yours, but he'd been rude and disrespectful towards you all season. Like, why would you put money in someone's pocket that had been so incredibly rude consistently? Like, it makes no sense.
Sometimes we argued, and those were, like, the things that maybe you saw. And shout out to Buddy Murray or MTV, whoever edited it, to show some of the things he said. But that wasn't even half of it, babe. I promise. It was every day. I mean, I remember hanging off of the fucking cliff. One of the reasons I quit, because he wouldn't even talk to me on where to take the rope and where to hook it. He wouldn't even speak to me at all. No words. So I'm like, how the fuck can I work with this guy? And then when he did speak, it was just me. And the truth was, and he can deny it till the day he dies, was that when we got to Africa, he thought maybe we'd start hooking up again. We got to have our cell phones because we got there later than other people, before we got into the house, obviously. And, you know, he invited me to come to his room, and I did not go. And then within the second day, I'd hooked up with Kyle, and he was butthurt. I mean, he's a young boy. He's 26 or something. So his feelings were hurt, and that's what it was. And if he has anything else to say, it's a lie. Because you can ask Corey, you can ask CT, who I ran the final with. I'm a great partner. Honey, boys will love to be my partner. Believe it or not, I can actually shut up and take direction. So there's no reason for him to be saying I'm a bad partner, I'm not a good competitor. We all know that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any type of relationship now? Like, have you guys spoken since that at all?
Well, we had, remember, season 33, where him and I went head to head in the first elimination, and Chase. We went home. But during that season, so what a lot of people don't know is that at the beginning, the elimination ring flooded. So they had to move the whole freaking elimination. So we actually were there. I was the first to get a boot, but I was still in the house, I think, like 7 days or like 9 days or something crazy.
Okay.
So we actually had some, like, interaction that was Invasion, season 29 interaction, just like little jokes, a little poke, like old school Hunter and Ashley, like where we got along. And it was honestly surprising to me. And yeah, he's not evil. He's not evil. He's just a boy, I think, that got his feelings hurt. And, you know, he treated bad because he was a young boy. He makes mistakes. And I just happened to get my reckoning on that season, you know. And it's
he's
not
definitely in his feelings.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we haven't talked besides that season 33.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like we said earlier, you've been in front of reality TV cameras for 6 years, and those are like important years of anyone's life. What's it sort of like to grow up in front of the camera?
Oh my goodness. It makes you grow up, to be honest. It's gonna make me emotional. Like when you just said like you've been on TV for 6 years, I like almost got emotional. I'm like, oh my goodness, it seems like so crazy. I never thought I would be here, but watching yourself on TV, I think makes you so much more self-aware than other people. Like I know my flaws. I know the way my voice gets when I drink. I know that I can get angry and how to control it now. I know to not speak out of anger as much. I mean, when you're in the show, of course, I'm going to maybe lash out a little bit more because it's all this intensity. In real life, I'm not screaming at people, cursing at people. None of my friends will say that's like Ashley. They'll be like, gosh, that's Ashley very angry that we like hardly have ever seen that happen. So I don't really get like that, but I appreciate the chance to watch myself and grow. Some people want to deny it and then play the victim or make excuses. I don't make excuses. I say I'm a human, I fucked up, and let me learn why I did that and make sure I don't do that again. So it's honestly, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to get to do it. I mean, you look at your makeup, your hair, you're like, what was I thinking? But that's just all surface stuff, and that stuff doesn't matter.
So other than obviously the season where you won the $1 million, because I'm going to guess that would be your favorite season of the challenge, what else? How much do you like hearing that, by the way? I saw the little shimmy there. How much do you like hearing when you won $1 million?
My season was probably my first win, babe.
Hey,
I mean,
yeah.
when I won the first time, it was like it wasn't happening. Like I sat there and I felt like I needed to pinch myself. I could cry. I mean, I felt like, well, actually both times, I felt like I was going crazy. Like I needed to be put in a mental home or something. Cause I'm like, is this real? Like I didn't feel like I was in reality both times.
Do you ever go back and watch the old seasons? Like obviously when you're on a current season, you're expected to watch it so you can tweet and have the reacts and everything for social media and, know what to say at the reunion. But you go back and like watch Real World Explosion or anything ever?
Went through a hard time in my life. I was drinking far too much. My face was swollen. No, and I just hated it. Hated who I was, hated who they were. So no, I do not watch that one. But I don't watch really any of them until I make new friends. They find out who I am via Instagram or whatever. And oh my God, I want to watch, especially if I get like a new boyfriend, which is like every other.
Good on you.
But yeah, they always want to see. Of course, I'm making sure. So if they want to see some clips, I'm making sure which ones I play, like the one with me and Nani in the elimination where I win, or
Hey.
Smart.
Is
the
it
highlight reel.
I know that one's not good.
Is it tough dating and being a single person while being on reality TV as well? Like, because you're going to have the people who know you from the show and they're going to try to come at you in a certain way. But then also, like, I mean, you're just going to have other dudes just trying to get at you because you are a dope ass person as well. So when you have people who might not know you from the challenge, then you got to explain, or they might know, but they don't really know. And then you kind of got to explain how difficult is that scenario where you might have to be like, okay, here is this video that you might come across, or one of your boys might be like, hey.
That's not really the issue. I think mostly the issue has been with the dating on reality TV is, now that I do it, we're usually filming twice a year. Okay. During COVID this year, we filmed once, but y'all will see. We usually film twice a year. And so that means I might get 4 to 5 months at the most to get to know somebody. start dating them. 4 or 5 months is when you really start getting really serious, start knowing somebody, and then I'm off for 2 months with no cell phone, no connection, no way to talk to them except maybe once a week for like 5 minutes, so that's the hard part, because especially me, I don't trust. I've been on reality TV for years, like on a show where you get backstabbed and your best friends throw you, so it's hard for me to trust people. So, I'm maybe seeing someone for 5 months, barely trust them to tell them my middle name. And now I've got to disappear for 2 months and trust they're not going to stray or do something to piss me off, which is probably highly unlikely. So that's like the worst part about dating is, I'm gone sometimes 4 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And that's just hard. I mean, if I was in a relationship for two years, year and a half, 3 years, like, yeah, okay, maybe we can handle that. But I mean, I'm going to be gone longer than I know you. Like, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. About that mental strain, because like you alluded to it before, but like being in the challenge house is so intense, and you are away from friends and family for 2 months at a time. How do you like sort of take care of yourself mentally? Like, what sort of self-care do you engage in? How do you, I guess, get right when you get back home and like get back on solid footing?
Well, it's hard. I've talked to people, after my first few seasons, I was talking to girls like Maureen, Nani, a lot of the girls. And I'm like, goodness, when I get home from these seasons, I'm just like the laziest hermit. I just like lock myself in the house. I don't want to see no one. And I just like order food every day, Uber Eats. And they're like, me too, girl. I do the same thing for at least like 1 week or 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I thought it was a type of mental distress. That's exactly what it is. It is a mental distress. Beforehand, I get nervous. I work out more before. When I'm in there, it depends. When I walk in there alone, the last season I didn't sleep hardly, I think, for 3 days. And I had to make myself just like eat food. And I didn't think I was in danger. I didn't think I was going to be voted in, but my anxiety was so bad. And you would think after doing it a million freaking times, you'd just be used to it. But sometimes I think the more you do it, the worse it gets, because you know what to expect. You're like, oh shit, I'm back in hell. I mean, it's really great. And there's no one on the show that's more grateful than me. I promise you. Every day I write in my journal how grateful I am to have this life, for Bud and Murray, for MTV, just for the fans, for the podcast, everything. I just think it's amazing. But also, it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah, I think that kind of shows through, right? Like one of the things that we talk about, people who end up being kind of our favorite castmates, we reference it on our show all the time. People who we'd like have a beer with, that we would just like, yeah, I could see myself hanging out with this person, just having a beer, just chilling, shooting the shit, which I mean, in turn kind of is the vibe that I'm getting on this pod at the same time, right? And I think that that's so important when you're watching reality TV, because yes, you're trying to win $1 million. Yes, there's so much going on, but at the end of the day, you guys are people, right?
Yeah.
And like everyone's got a story, everyone's coming from their own place, but I love the way that you just explained kind of the real aspect of being on the show and some of the things that you guys have to deal with. And when I think of the last season in that bunker, like I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like in that bunker. Like how difficult was that?
Challenges, they blacked out the windows of the buses, so we literally saw no like daylight, nothing. Like we didn't have windows on the buses or in the bunker.
How were you guys dealing with that, especially in such contrast to what we're normally seeing when you guys are outside and there's a pool and you can chill by the pool for a day or whatever? Like how were you able to deal with that just constantly every day inside, not seeing the light? And then even the stuff that we found out from the reunion episodes about like the washroom situation and all that, like that just seems so terrible. I have no idea how you guys coped with that, but how bad was it in comparison to what we saw, but also to what you actually had to experience? Give us like the real behind the scenes.
It was 10 times worse than you could imagine. I mean, I don't want to call anyone out, but there were people in the first few days that had panic attacks. Even I'll call myself out. Even within the first week, I asked to talk to the psychologist. And that's what's great about the show. They do care about us. Our producers love us, you know, and I love them. And if you're starting to feel that way, you just tell them, I need to talk to somebody. And they'll let you. So, I mean, I think I wasn't there very long, but from what I heard, a lot of people that season had to talk to a psychologist, which I've never heard of any of my seasons ever, not one person. But also the air was stale. It was a real bunker, babe. This wasn't like a fake freaking bunker that they just like made. No, this was like an actual, it used to be a museum before we moved in, supposedly. And the air was stale. And like me, Corey, and Anissa broke out in rashes. Like it was bad. I mean, you feel like you couldn't breathe. And then when you did have to pee, like, let's say in the middle of the night, you have to use the bathroom. We all do, especially after drinking beer all night. At 4 a.m., you got to wake up and pee, right? You had to put on your shoes, put on your socks, put on your shoes, put on your pants. Probably not in that order. But and then walk all the way through this bunker, which was this long-ass hallway, through the kitchen, through that whole gym you saw, and then outside for just as long as, like, the hallway. Like, pretty freaking, not couple 100 yards, and then go use a porta potty in the middle of like freezing cold while it's raining, while it's snowing in the middle of the night. I was scared. I don't like the dark and I hate the cold, so I was just miserable.
Yeah, I can't fathom that.
That would be horrible. I know that you get along with basically all of your castmates and you're friends with a lot of them, but it also seems like you really keep your personal life separate from the challenge world. Why is that? And like, do you find that difficult to do?
To be honest, this is going to be a little mean, but to be honest, I think that people who try to be in contact when they go to somebody's city, they hit them up, they link up, or they just go to the city to link up. They're doing it for the gram. They're doing it to get more followers. They don't really give a heck. They usually end up stabbing each other in the back anyways. They're not that close on the show. They're fake to each other. And maybe they don't have other friends outside of reality TV. You know, I mean, if you're so fake all the time, in real life, people are going to see that. So me, now, do I not hang out with them at all? No, I'm not saying that. You know, I was in Miami and I messaged Josh, ended up never hanging out with him. I hung out with Jose one night, like for a few hours. But I'm not going out of my way because in reality, you're not going out of your way to talk to me every day. We ain't messaging, we ain't talking, we're not texting, you know? So I feel like the people that are linking up all the time, they're doing it for the gram, they're doing it for YouTube, they're, you know, doing it to get followers, and I don't give a damn about followers. You don't. Like, if you follow me, I appreciate it. But you can see I don't be doing promotions. I'm not an influencer. That's my Instagram, my social media is just me. That's all I can be. I said this from the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier on a couple of the alliances that you worked with, and obviously you had the Lavender Ladies, you had Kara's Cult, if we're going to call it that.
I like that name.
For sure.
Well, some people call it. We called ourselves the Royal Family because I was like drunk one night and like gave us all these little nicknames, just being like a middle school girl because of Queen Cam, and then like the Kara's Night and all these different things. But yeah, we'll just call us anyways.
I like it. But which was your favorite alliance to work with? Maybe not necessarily the one that made it the farthest, but which one did you have the most fun with that you would say, hey, if I got to choose who I'm going into a house with, these are the people I want to rock with?
Oh gosh, you know, I just have to say the Lavender Ladies because we're just like assholes together. We're funny. We're picking on each other. We're, you know, doing like Sylvia did this like nerdy dance naked all the time because it would just be us in the room. Like do this weird little thing, or like me, I'd like pretend to be like a cat and vomit like when people made me kick or whatever. Like, we just were like complete weirdos.
Yeah.
I mean, but me and Cam and Cara, we had our own, and Leroy, because he was in our bedroom, we had our own jokes too. It's just so hard because each season is almost like if you went to a new high school each year and you made a good clique of friends, you know what I mean? It's just hard for me. I love them all in completely different ways. It's so hard to explain.
Is there someone who...
There's someone I had to love the most, and that's Amanda. I mean, there's no one I love more on the challenge than Amanda, because she's probably done the most for me. So
regular listeners to You Killed It will know I am a huge Amanda fan. I rep Amanda a lot, just because she is like, much like you, much like even Marie. But here's the thing that I like the most, okay? Sometimes people need to be told about themselves, right? You don't get just, and a lot of times I like when people stand up for themselves when, you know, whether it was Zach always going at her or whatever, but I like that you guys really stick up for yourselves all the time. You're not putting up with the BS. So I rep that. My other question though, I was going to ask you is, you obviously talked about, we know you won the $1 million. We know you've done pretty well on this season of the challenge, but if you were to pick who you think the best female competitor is of the challenge, who would you think it is? If you were going to name like a top 3.
Okay, well, I cannot add old school challengers into nowadays, because
whoever you want. It's your list.
Like, freaking stupid. It was like carnival games. It was like what we do on Champs for Stars. You know what I mean? It's not what we do now. And I think my number one's gonna have to be Jenny. I think I know in her first season she lost to Tori, but I knew she was going to lose because her mental was not there. She was defeated that whole week in the house. I knew she was going to lose before we even showed up to the elimination.
Yeah.
That girl, she is smart, and I mean, she's more athletic than any girl or guy in that house. She's just really awesome. I don't know. I just really think she's a joke competitor. I just like competitors that are the opposite of me, like Jenny, Cara, people that got like the physical behind them. You know, I think that's just really impressive, because that's what I'm not, and I don't think I will ever be that player. So I respect it heavy. Like, I really respect it. Yeah, I would guess I would have to say those 3. I think Tori's up there too. I think she's competitor. Her social isn't exactly there. She kind of plays a Nisa game. Well, when Jordan's not around, she plays a game where she's trying to kind of maybe be nice to everyone too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's the rumor about me recently too, so I can't talk.
Let me ask you something.
But I definitely have to say nowadays, Jenny and Cara, I always think that Cara is one of the best players. She deserves the respect that she's earned.
Do you think she gets a bad rap in terms of the fans? Because there are moments where, I'll be honest, I haven't always been a huge fan of Cara's, but do you think she gets a bad rap or a bad edit, or maybe just kind of misunderstood with what goes on in the house sometimes?
This life, we go through moments, you know? And we're not seeing what's happening in people's real life outside of the show. Sure. So there's seasons that maybe I've lashed out, like on season 33 when I lashed out over a stupid joke about me. So, you know, maybe on season 34 she was a little bit mopey, and, you know, but she admitted that. She told me, you know, I've been going through some shit, and I feel better now that I took a break from the challenge, and I'm not that, you know, I'm back to being Cara.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she does get a bad rep, but she was a little bit bad. I mean, not as bad as that people are mean to her, but she was a little mopey, playing the victim, woe is me. But, I mean, we all handle different things in our life different ways. She's not that person. She just had an off season, man. And we all do in our life. You have off seasons, you know, like
totally.
I was, you know, lazy this summer. I wasn't working as much. I was mean to my girl. I was whatever, you know what I mean? But you catch yourself and you fix it. And luckily and sadly for us, we have to catch it on national television with the rest of America. Well, the world shows played worldwide now. So it's a curse and a blessing at the same time.
You just reminded me of that season. I guess it would have been the War of the World season where, it was US versus the UK and Tori and Jordan end up jumping to the other side. Or I guess, sorry?
War of the Worlds 2. That was the
War
one.
of the Worlds 2. My bad. Yes. War of the Worlds 2. What was that season like? Because that was a heavy politics season in terms of, I really think you gave a shout out to the producers earlier on in the pod. And we kind of talk about this a lot, how the past few seasons, they've done such a good job of coming up with the different gameplay and strategies and just like, things where you guys got to be on your toes to figure out the game within the game. But that one in particular, there seemed to be a lot of different moving pieces behind the scenes. How did that one work for you guys? Because you guys had the power in the house, but Tori and Jordan became a problem. Just what was the nature like in the house during that season?
Well, from the other people that weren't in the alliance, and this is what usually happens when you have an alliance that's running the season or running the show. Everyone's like, oh, they're bullies. Oh, they're, But no, we weren't being mean to people. We were just had the power. And, the shoe is always on a different foot. You're not always going to have that power. That just happened. So people that say that are like, oh, they were mean, they were bullies. And, kind of the editing made it look like that. It's like, no, we just got lucky that season and we were smart because we knew this wasn't a team versus team game. Because either team won or lost, somebody was going in, possibly, from your team. So we just played smarter, and we had girls like me and Cam and a big brother player like Paulie that was working with all the UK guys that were smart. See, okay, who cares if our teams are strong? If you don't make it to the final, you're not going to fucking win. So we just realized, like, even if Tori and Jordan are good players, even if, Georgia was the best player, you ain't working with us, and so we're not working with you. So, it was, for me, one of the easiest seasons. Honey, there were that I did not even care. Like, we didn't even care. Like, we were just drinking wine. Like, it doesn't matter who wins or loses because we have the numbers. And people are always like, well, you can't take everyone to the final. Well, we'll figure that out when we get there. But we got to speak so we can just freaking sit pretty. Yeah. So, and also that one, like for the tribunal, you also had to vote within your team who on the team is going to be a tribunal. So, like, let's say Zach or people on the team were the UK too, they'd be like, oh, well, he got first place in our team. He should be in the tribunal. We're like, well, let's put it up to a vote then. It's like, okay, let's vote about it because that's the only way. And we're all like, okay, you're not in there. Like, it was just, they'd be giving their excuses and their pleas and, like, begging for, they're like, no, I should be in tribunal. I haven't been in once. I'm like, that sucks for you, my friend, but you're not.
Amazing.
It was just light work. It was so freaking fun. So fun.
My last question I got for you, Ash, is just, kind of the overarching narrative of just like how cool it is for us to have you on the pod. But when I say to you, that you are one of the best challenge competitors in the history of the game, and hey, people might want to deny that, but as I said, check the resume. Resume speaks for itself, right? Numbers don't lie. And what does that make you feel when you think of that and you think of everything that you've been through on the show, on reality TV, from your first appearance on The Real World to now, to where, hey, you got people who, like, this is happening right now because our fans were like, hey, you guys need to get Ashley on your show. Like, how cool is that? How does that feel to know that the brand MTV The Challenge and you are going to be synonymous forever? Like, how big of a deal is that for you when you hear that?
Well, you guys already know it's going to make me emotional, but, well, I'll say this. I just was going through my old yearbooks at my mama's house a few weeks ago, and I saw that my favorite show was The Real World, The Challenge, like in my yearbook. I didn't even ever remember that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. It's so freaking cool. I don't know how it makes me feel. I just definitely don't take it for granted. I feel blessed. I just wish people would remember I'm just like you guys. I mean, maybe not you guys. You guys are weird. No, I'm just kidding.
You don't even know the half of it, Ash.
But like everyone else, I mean, I'm just a girl from West Virginia who never even thought this would be a possibility. You know, I just would always joke about it, or when I was like little, be like, I'm gonna move to California and I'm gonna be famous one day, blah blah blah. I used to always say that. So I mean, I don't know, I mean, I have goosebumps right now. I don't know what to say. I'm grateful, and God has definitely blessed me, and yeah, hopefully I get to keep coming back, and I'll be the female Johnny Bananas, because I'll never stop coming back, because I love to compete. I love that it keeps me, it keeps me exercising, keeps me in shape, keeps me wanting to be smart politically, game-wise, keeps you using your brain, wanting me to do puzzles to make sure I'm on top of it. Keeps me cool, like I'm getting old. I'm like, what the hell? How the hell do I use TikTok? So, I'm like, gosh, you guys keep me young. But some of our fans are older than me, much, much older than me. And so that's always cool too, to see like people in their 50s and 60s, like, oh, I watch your show. I'm like, you sure? Are you sure? Maybe you're mistaking me. I don't know, man. I'm just blessed. I thank you guys for having me on. I thank MTV. I think anybody that supports me. You guys must be a little weird to like me, but it's because I'm.
We don't want to get you in trouble with MTV, but what can we expect from this coming season? I know that's a tightrope that I'm asking you to walk.
I expect the unexpected.
Okay. All right.
This Big Brother was everything happened was like that's what we expected. That's what we expected. This season is going to be opposite. It's going to be like nothing you guys have ever seen. When you think you have something figured out, you're an asshole because you don't have it figured out. I'm telling you now, you do not know what's coming.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. We really appreciate it. This is like a bucket list for us and our show. We didn't tell any of our listeners you were coming on, so it's going to be a big surprise when this drops. And we're just so grateful that you're able to make the time when you're in Mexico and probably have more fun that you could be having.
I might have had it today. Coffee. Coffee, of course.
Right.
Of course. Ash, thanks so much for jumping on with us, man. Really appreciate it. This has been so much fun.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really love y'all, and just thank you for the support and the love, and stay safe out there. Everyone wear your masks.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ash.
Bye.
Bye.
On blast.